Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to the University of Manchester Middle East Centre's online information session about the MBA programme, as well as the Q&A session with one of our alumni, Professor Mohamed Baguneid. So we'll get onto that in just a minute. My name is William Walsh. I'm one of the programme counsellors / corporate relations executive at the University of Manchester Middle East Centre. And I will be taking you through the presentation this afternoon. And we'll be joined by Professor Mohamed Baguneid in just a minute, just to give you a little idea of regarding Professor Mohamed. Mohamed is a consultant, vascular and endovascular surgeon and clinical transformation lead at SEHA, Abu Dhabi Healthcare Services. He has over 27 years of clinical experience and manages the full spectrum of vascular disease. He has undertaken many senior clinical leadership roles in the last 15 years, and specifically medical director of a large service transformation program in Greater Manchester in 2014. And prior to that, as deputy medical director of strategy in a large university teaching hospital within the same region. He strengthened his practical experience in leadership by completing the Manchester Global Part-time MBA, graduating with merit back in 2018, and he is also an honorary senior lecturer at the University of Manchester. So I'm sure many of you are looking forward to hearing some of his experience on the MBA program. We'll start off by Manchester. So the city of Manchester, as you may know, Manchester is the second largest city in the UK behind London, the capital, of course, known for many different things. It's actually one of the powerhouses in leading social movements and capitalism. It's the birthplace of the Industrial Revolution, so where manufacturing processes have been revolutionized. It's also very famous for its vibrant cultural scene, and it's the place where the very first atom was found and split by Ernest Rutherford, who actually was awarded with a Nobel Prize for his discovery, and it's the location where the first computer was built. Now, moving on to what we will talk about today, we will go through the quality of course, the University of Manchester, but the MBA program as well. We will be talking about the international exposure that this program offers, the practical business education aspect of the program as well, the transformational experience that you will be getting through the University of Manchester, and of course the flexibility of the program, which I'm sure is essential for many of you working professionals here with us today. So moving on, the University of Manchester was actually established back in 1824. So the university is nearly 200 years old. So as you can imagine, over the last 2 centuries nearly, the university has really established itself to become one of the leading universities in the world. As you can see, we have 25 Nobel Prize winners. That's the 23rd university with the most number of Nobel Prize winners worldwide. We've just invested in a brand new business school as well, business school facilities in Manchester. And in terms of the program itself, the MBA is ranked 5th in Europe, 5th in the UK, sorry, 11th in Europe and 45th globally, as per the Financial Times of 2020 in terms of their rankings. So it's a very elite university, a very prestigious university, as you can imagine, and it's also a triple accredited program. So by AMBER, the Association of MBAs, the AACSB and EQUIS as well. So it's one of the very few MBA programs worldwide which is triple accredited. In addition to that, the university worldwide is actually ranked 27th. So the university as a whole is ranked 27th worldwide. So the university as a whole is an elite university and amongst the very best worldwide. Now, moving on to the University of Manchester Middle East Centre. So The centre here was established back in 2006, so it's been running for now nearly 14 years, just about. The MBA program has actually been running ever since. So we've graduated around 1,800 students from this particular MBA program in the Middle East alone. We have over 100 nationalities that have gone through this program. We've supported over 2,800 students overall. So it's a very, very strong network that you're getting a part of once you join the University of Manchester and the MBA program specifically, because these are individuals which are part of this strong network who've worked in many different industries, in many top multinationals across the Middle East, and that are part of this very strong and elite network. We were awarded the Best MBA program by the inaugural Forbes Higher Education Awards in 2019, just last year, and we offer different programs in the Middle East. So these are the 4 programs that we are currently offering, which are the Manchester Global Part-time MBA, the Kelley-Manchester Global MBA program, which I will be explaining in just a little while, but also the Masters in Educational Leadership in Practice and the Masters in Real Estate. Now, moving on to international exposure. So the university as a whole really dedicated its education to make education so that it is available worldwide. So that is one of the very strong points on its agenda. We want to make sure that world-class education is accessible anywhere around the world. Wherever you are, you will have access to education offered by the University of Manchester. So as you can see, we have centres in Singapore, Shanghai, Sao Paulo in Brazil, the Dubai Centre, of course, Hong Kong, and the main campus in Manchester. So as you may know, the University of Manchester does offer several electives at these different centres, and I will be talking to you about these in just a little moment to clarify that. But as you well know, international exposure, especially today, is extremely important to hiring managers. They are very interested in candidates that are very curious in learning and developing their knowledge abroad, and to obviously network across the globe. So these are very important things that you are getting access to through this program, and I'll just touch a little more on that in a minute. So moving on to practical business education. Now, this is extremely important, as you can imagine, simply because at the University of Manchester, we believe in learning by doing. This means that everything that we will provide you with, all the knowledge that we will provide you with, we want you to put that into context, into professional context. So as you can see here, the Manchester method is a focus on group work, practice-based learning and reflection. So just to clarify that for you, there are no written exams during this MBA program. You will only be assessed through group work and through individual assignments. So it's very practical, as you can see. You will have the opportunity to visit us 3 times a year, and I'll talk to you a little bit more about that once we look at the program structure on the next slide. But yes, you will have the opportunity to come and meet us so that you will be able to meet the faculty and, of course, see the application of all the knowledge that you've been coming across. Most core courses have a minimum of 24 hours of teaching, more than most full-time programs. What do we mean by that? We mean that a module, for example, you will be going to do a workshop for that specific module, which may last 2 to 3 days. You will go over several hours during that module of teaching and learning. And whereas in a full-time program, you may go over the material over several weeks, over 10 weeks maybe, so 2 hours over 10 weeks. Here it will be a lot more intense with these workshops. You'll be doing, some 9 to 5 learning, so you'll be going to do a lot more condensed learning throughout the MBA program, and I'll clarify that a little bit more in the next slide. Yes, the MBA is structured around business themes rather than traditional subjects. Of course, you will have 2 business projects. So we're really talking about applications here. You'll have a group of multiple students who are going to work on these different projects that last about a year. So you'll have one in your first year and one in your second year, and I'll show that to you on the next slide. And of course, the choice of electives. So you'll have the opportunity to tailor the program or specialize a little bit during the program. However, I'd like to clarify that this will not be recognized on your degree certificate. It won't be an MBA in marketing or an MBA in finance. It is still a general MBA program, but you will still be able to specialize or to select a couple of modules that you wish to study. Moving on to probably the most important slide in the presentation. This is the structure of the 2-year part-time MBA program. Now, this is very important because this is how you'll understand the structure of the entire program. Now, the 2-year Global Part-time MBA is delivered in a blended learning format. What we mean by that is that you will have an online component, which is basically you will have access to a virtual campus. That's where you'll have access to all the course material. That's where you'll have access to the reading material. You'll be able to communicate with the other students and faculty through discussion forums. There will be online lectures, online tutorials as well, which are always recorded for your own convenience. As you know, many of you are working professionals and need to have access to this content 24/7, no matter where you are. So these are always recorded for your convenience as well. And of course, the online library, which is one of the largest online libraries worldwide, will be accessible to you. So looking now at the face-to-face, this is what you can see in front of you on the screen. Now, as you can see, the program is divided into 2 years. So every year you will have 3 different workshops. Now, this is how the face-to-face works. These workshops last, as you can see, around 5 to 6 days in general. They are consecutive days and they last from 9 to 5. So you will have to take some time off work to attend these workshops. This is very important to remember because these workshops are mandatory. Now, as you can see in your first year, if you join us, I'll take as an example our very next intake, which is in January, because we have 2 intakes every year, ladies and gentlemen. We have one in July and one in January. To take the example of our next intake, January, if you did join us then, you'd have your very first workshop in January for 5 days. The second one would be in March for 6 days. And the very last one in your first year would be in September for 6 days. That would be your very first year. You'd be studying all the core modules in this first year. So you're looking at the business from a holistic point of view, which means you're looking at every segment of the business, which is what an MBA is created for. So looking at what you will learn, you'll be going through modules such as managing and leading in a global environment, which is over the course of 2 semesters. As you can see, there will be a part A, part B. You will have strategy and competition, which is divided over 3 semesters, but then you'll be doing marketing and operations, accounting and finance, and you will have the business simulation project, which is a year-long group project. In your second year, this is where it really gets interesting because as I did mention, you'll have electives to choose from. So as you can see, you'll be able to choose 3 different electives. Now, these electives you can choose from, there's an extensive list of around just over 20 odd electives, which start from a strategic HR management to investment portfolios to big data analytics, to marketing and operation elective modules as well. So there usually is something to satisfy everyone during the course of these elective modules. The great thing about it as well is that you will have the opportunity to travel to the other global centers, as I did mention previously, for these specific electives only. So these electives will be will be attributed to the last two workshops that you have to attend. So the last two workshops of the program, as you can see, the 6 days in March and the 3 days in September or October. Now, these can be done in any of our global centers. So if you'd like to travel to Manchester to attend these electives there, you can absolutely do so. If you prefer staying here in the UAE or coming to the UAE because it is closer for you, you can absolutely do that as well. So you do have the ability to travel during the program if you'd like to. We do offer 6 nights of accommodation in any of the other global centers you decide to attend for these electives specifically. And then, of course, you'll have the live business project, which is your second group project, year-long group project, which basically replaces any sort of dissertation, anything like that. So that is the structure of the 2-year program. If you have any questions, obviously, please drop them in the questions box, and I'll take them at the end as well to answer any of your queries. Moving on now to a typical semester. Now, what does that look like? As you can see here, we have the example of one of your core modules in the first year, the managing and leading in the global environment program, which is over the course of 2 semesters. But for the sake of the example, this is the very first semester. This is how it's organized. So as you can see per the little computers that you can see on the strip there, this basically represents the online tutorials that you will have before even attending the workshop for this module. So as you can see there, you'll have several online lectures where you'll be meeting the faculty member, where he will be detailing all the different things you will be going through, and even starting some of the material as well, because you have to be prepared for the 3-day workshop, as you can see for this particular module, simply because you will have an assessed component at the workshop for this module. There will be a group project, which will count for 40% of the entire mark for the managing and leading in a global environment module part A. So it's very important that you do all the work beforehand, before attending this first 3-day workshop, which would take place in January for those joining the next intake. Then you can see there are several more lectures, online tutorials that will happen throughout the course of the semester, just going through some of the material with the faculty members, and then they will of course detail what you have to do for the individual assignment, which will be handed out to you, which will count for 60% of the total mark for this particular module for the managing and leading in global environment part A. So that's how a typical module would be delivered. Now, approximately 8 days of residential workshops per semester. As you can see, there is some online and face-to-face mode of study during the semester, and you also have access to MBA Plus during the course of your studies. What is that? It's basically the fact that you have access to personal and professional development. What do we mean by that? There is the careers department based out of the University of Manchester Middle East Centre, as well as the main careers department in the UK. So we have a team here in the Middle East that do take care of that. So if you need any help in revamping your CV, if you need any tips or train for mock interviews, if you need to be put in contact with any specific individuals within a certain industry, within a certain company, if we have partners there, if we have students or alumni there, we will be able to put you in contact with these individuals. In addition to that, you will be assigned your very own student advisor. Now, that individual will help you if you have any sort of issues on the program, if you can't attend a specific workshop, if you're having any difficulties in contacting someone, or if there's any sort of issue whatsoever, that person will be your main point of contact at the university, just to make sure that if you have any sort of issues, that person, you'll know who to count on, you'll know who to reach out at the University of Manchester without having to go through 10 different people. So that person will be extremely important. Many of you have families and work to take care of, so it's always good to have someone by your side, just sending a couple of reminders and helping you if you have any sort of trouble. So you will have your dedicated student advisor if you join the program. And just to let you know at the moment as well, just to clarify, because I'm sure many of you have questions with regards to the face-to-face workshops at the moment with the ongoing global pandemic. At the moment, we have been running online workshops. Now, these are still 5-day workshops from 9 to 5, so you'd still have to take time off work. It's just that they've gone virtual. For January, we're still unsure as to the decision of the university, because we are, of course, thinking of the safety of not only our faculty who reside in the UK and who travel to these workshops every time they take place, and to our students from maybe Saudi Arabia, Kuwait, Bahrain, etc., who have to travel to the UAE to attend these workshops. We are thinking, of course, of your safety. So all these different things are being looked at the university to make sure that we offer the best solution possible during these times. Now, going over some of the flexibility aspects of the program that we do offer, of course, this is very important to many of you because you are very busy working professionals. So we need to make sure that the program is adapted to your needs. Choice of workshops, what do we mean by that? Simply that you have the choice of starting your program in either January or July, which means that there are specific workshops that you can attend. If you start your program in January, you'll have workshops in the months of January, March, and September. For example, if you join in July, you'll have workshops in July, September, and March. Of course, if you do miss a workshop, you can always get in contact with a student advisor if you have a reasonable explanation, of course, a reasonable answer for them. And then maybe we can put you on another workshop if that specific module workshop is running at that time, to kind of compensate for the one you missed out on, for example. You also have the ability to pause or extend the program. Now, this is very important as well. Although the program is 2 years, you have up to 5 years to complete it. This means if you do need to take a break, if you do need to take leave for 6 months or a year because you're changing company, because you're being promoted, because you have a big project coming up, you can take a break, leave the program, you put the program on pause. There will be no financial penalty, there will be no grade penalty either, and you can just come back onto the program when you feel ready again to finish it up. Obviously, it is better to finish it within the 2 years, but if you do need more time, that flexibility is there just in case. We also have accelerated learning options, which I'll talk to you a little more in just the next couple of slides. And then 15 of 20 hours of personal study. What do we mean by that? Simply that, in general, the faculty recommends around 15 hours of personal study, simply because it's important that you go through the entire pieces of material that are given out to you, the entire database of readings as well that is available to you online on our Blackboard virtual campus. And the great thing about that is that you get to organize yourself in your own way. We do not dictate how you should organize yourself. You can decide if you'd like to study at the weekend, if you prefer studying in the evenings, in the morning, during your lunch break at work. That is completely up to you, but we do recommend that you study between 15 to 20 hours a week on the material that has been given out to you. Obviously, this is very dependent on the student, of course, because let's say you are doing the module in business, accounting and finance, and you are a finance expert, maybe you'll need a bit less of time to go through all this material. On the contrary, maybe someone with a marketing background will need a bit more time to go through that. So it's really up to you, but the most important thing is to be organized, and we expect all of our students to be so, simply because this is very important. Because you need to go through all of this material, and you need to balance your life in terms of your personal life, your work life as well. So it's very important to have these type of skills to be successful on this program. Now, in terms of choice of electives, I did mention you'll have the choice of 3 different electives out of around just over 20 different electives, so you'll be able to kind of specialize a little bit. And then you have the online learning portal, which is accessible 24/7. So that means if you're traveling, if you're at an airport, if you're at a hotel, no matter where you are, you will have access to this online learning portal, and you will have access to the material for your different modules. So moving on to part-time MBA options, I did mention that in the previous slide. So currently what I've been explaining to you is the Global MBA program. That is a 24-month program, but we also have the Finance Accelerated MBA program, which is an 18-month program, but this is a program only available for those that have a professional finance qualification, such as the ACCA, the CIMA, the CPA, CFA, etc. Even if you have a bachelor's in finance or a master's in finance, that would not be sufficient to get onto this program. You really need to have a professional finance qualification to apply for this program, and that means that the only difference with the Global Part-time MBA is that you won't have to do the finance and accounting module. We then have the Global Accelerated MBA, which is also an 18-month program, which is designed for more senior individuals that have over 8 years of work experience and that are very senior executives within their company. If you'd like to learn more about that program specifically, please feel free to reach out to our team of program counsellors at the University of Manchester Middle East Centre. And to learn more about that and to get in touch with them, all you have to do is to go onto the Manchester Middle East website, so manchester.ac.ae, and you can then go onto the Global Accelerated MBA page and submit a callback request where one of our program counsellors will get in touch with you to talk you through the program details. Now, we also offer the Kelley-Manchester Global Part-time MBA, which is a joint degree program with Kelley School of Business, which is part of the University of Indiana in the US. Now, the main difference with this one is that, of course, you're getting 2 degrees from Manchester and Kelley School of Business, but it has a little bit less face-to-face. So it's still a 2-year part-time program, still delivered in a blended learning format. It just has a little less face-to-face. As you can see, there are 3 different workshops across the 2 years, and you may have a 4th one if you'd like to in your 3rd semester as well. But the main difference is that the modules in red, as you can see here, offered by Kelley School of Business are online modules. They are delivered online, whereas Manchester's modules are delivered in a blended format, which means that the workshops that you see here are for the Manchester modules during this program. So same thing, if you'd like to learn more about this program specifically, please do inquire online, and someone will get in touch with you to talk to you through this program a little more. This program only has 1 intake every year, and it is in July. So every July you can join the cohort of the Kelley-Manchester Global MBA. Now, very quickly over the transformational experience that you'll receive through the University of Manchester and your MBA journey as well. First and foremost, online career seminars. So our careers team in the Middle East and our careers team in the UK have a lot of different online seminars that take place to help you develop your skills. They'll usually have maybe another another partner jump in as well. For example, we've had LinkedIn not long ago help our students and alumni upgrade their personal pages on LinkedIn to be more visible on the online platform. We have many different things that take place through the careers department, which are really here to help and support our students and alumni. You have access to over 60,000 global alumni as well, so it's a very extensive network, and I can guarantee you that no matter where you are in the world, there will be someone that has studied at the University of Manchester previously. Elective overseas, that's very important. That's, as I did mention, international exposure. It's extremely important in this day and age. Hiring managers, different companies like to have profiles that are curious about traveling, about learning about other cultures as well, and moving abroad and just learning in a different environment. So that's very important. You also have the alumni groups and socials. So we have alumni groups here in the UAE and Saudi Arabia as well. I know for a fact that in the UAE, the alumni group actually meets the first Thursday of every month. Unfortunately, that isn't happening at the moment due to what is currently ongoing, but usually that would take place. We have many speaker events as well, so we always bring in industry experts from partner companies, from different people that we know as well, from our own alumni and students that would like to present us with maybe the trends in the different markets, depending on the different industries as well. So there's a lot of that going on. We really like to network with our students in the region. You'll also, of course, have colleagues from a range of different industries, and this is probably one of the most important points as well. You will be learning not only thanks to your faculty and your lecturers, you will learn just as much through the different students on the program that come from a range of different backgrounds, industries, that specialize in different fields. I can guarantee you that this is extremely valuable for anyone. If a marketing director would like to learn more about finance and has, not much of an idea, I can guarantee there'll be a senior finance manager, for example, on the program that will be able to help out or explain, or there's a lot to be learned from the colleagues on the MBA program. So that's a very, very important point. And of course, the global networking events. So please remind yourselves that the program doesn't necessarily, or your journey with Manchester doesn't necessarily end after you've graduated from the program. We have many different things that take place across the year, many different events. You are part of the Manchester community forever, and so you will always be welcome to these different events, and it is a lifelong journey with Manchester that you are going to go through. And now, very quickly, because I know that I'd like to get onto the Q&A as well to bring in our alumnus, Mohamed Baguneid, with us. I'll just go very quickly through these last couple of slides. Just to let you know, as you can see, we have some stats on your MBA colleagues. So 25% from manufacturing, 13% from accounting, banking and finance, 12% from computing and technology. That is usually quite an accurate display, simply because a lot of our students have very technical backgrounds, engineers, IT managers, etc., that really want to complement their very technical backgrounds with a bit more business acumen, business knowledge as well, that can really help them elevate to the next level in their careers and more towards the managerial side of things within their companies and within their industries as well. So usually the MBA has been a very good route for our students to succeed within their goals to elevate their career within these senior leadership positions. We have over 100 nationalities on the program, 89% of students from outside the UK. So as you can see, this program has really been designed for people worldwide, not only for people living in the UK. The average age is around 36, and we have 32% of female students on the program. So we're very happy to develop that and to continue pushing women into business as well and to reach their goals. Here are some of your MBA colleagues. So our students come from a range of different backgrounds of industries and specialities as well. As you can see here, we have people that work for Deloitte, Siemens, we have people that work for GM, PwC, Accenture, etc., etc. It's a very, very strong network. It's a very impressive group to be a part of, simply because we want our students to reach the pinnacle of their potential and reach their goals in terms of getting into the best companies possible, the best working environments possible as well. And I'm sure that these companies are very successful at doing that because of the amount of successful candidates that work for them. So we have a very, very strong network of very well-placed individuals. Now, very quickly, to go over the application process, if you would like to learn more about the application process, because we are running a little bit out of time, you can always get in touch with your program counselor. They would be more than happy to help you through it and to explain the entire process, to clarify all of that for you. You can go on the website manchester.ac.ae and submit a callback request to go through the application process with them. But just to give you a brief and the admissions requirement for the program as well, there are two ways. There are two different ways to get onto the program. The academic entry is basically you'll need a strict minimum of 3 years of work experience, as well as a bachelor's degree. If you do not have a bachelor's degree, we also have the experiential route entry, whereby you would need at least 8 years of work experience with strong career progression to get onto the program. Your experience is extremely valuable to get onto this program. So these are the two main requirements. You will have to go through an admissions test. So this kind of replaces the GMAT, the GRE. You won't necessarily need the IELTS or the TOEFL. I'd like to clarify that. You can do the MAT and that will kind of compensate for it. So the MAT, Manchester Admissions Test, is a 45-minute online test on 3 different components. The verbal component, so this is just understanding an English text, a text in English and answering questions. The numerical component, which is basic maths, and the logical component, which is just looking at your reasoning, recognizing patterns, etc. So you all have to do that, and that will kind of compensate for not having the IELTS, for not having the GMAT, etc. If you already do have these, please put them within the application, but you will still have to go through the MAT, through the Manchester Admissions Test to submit your application and to be considered for the program. So that is very important. And so that's it. So if you need more information about the application process, please get in touch with the program counselors. They're very, very easy to reach, and they really would be happy to help you. But the basic thing is you will have an online application form to fill up. You'll have to put your CV, provide us with some professional references, and write 2 essays as well. This is really where we differentiate our applicants, so it's very important you write these essays well. Once that is done, you will have to go through the MAT test, and once that is done, we'll send everything to the UK to be reviewed by the admissions committee, and they'll give you the results in due course. And now probably the slide you've been waiting for the most. The fee, the tuition fee for this program is 36,300 Great British pounds. That is the equivalent to around 170,000 UAE dirhams or 175,000 Saudi Arabian riyal. Now, this is divided into into 4 equal installments across the 2 years of the program. So you're paying every 6 months, every semester. We're currently running the early bird application discount, which is on a first come, first serve basis. So I believe that this will end at the end of October. There may be a little bit more time, but towards the end of October. So we really do suggest that you submit your application before the end of October to benefit from this 10% early bird application discount. All you have to do is submit the application your application to benefit from it. There is nothing else to do. The application process is entirely free as well. You can really go through it without anything, any additional costs, and you will automatically be considered for the 10% early bird discount, and at that time you can decide if you'd like to accept your offer or not, but at least you have that 10% secured on your tuition fees. We also have corporate discounts of up to 15% for those that work for our corporate partners. So that includes General Motors, that includes members at ACCA, at IMA as well, and others. So if you're not sure if we are part of your corporate partners, just get in touch with us as well, and we'll be able to tell you. If you have studied with Manchester before, you'll benefit from the 20% alumni discount on the total tuition fees. So that is it for the tuition fees and the different discounts available at the moment. If you are interested in applying for this program, our next intake is in January 2021, and we do suggest that you do join the program early enough so that you can go through some of the course material that will be available a month to 2 months before the start of the program in January, simply because you have to be prepared for the first workshop that will be in January, and you'll have to go through some of this material. So it's always best to start in advance so that you're not rushing at the last minute. So with that being said, thank you very much everyone for following this presentation. I'll just finish up, yes, with the Kelley-Manchester as well. The tuition fees for that is $68,250,000. That's divided as well in 4 different installments. So you're paying every 6 months of the program, and we have merit-based scholarship awards of up to 15% for this program. And that for this program, you can only apply for the July 2021 intake, which will start next year. So with that being said, ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for following this presentation. I do hope that it has been informative. I'll just try and bring in now our very own Professor Mohamed Baguneid, our alumni from the University of Manchester, and our honorary senior lecturer as well at the University of Manchester, who will, I'm sure, be very informative and explain a lot about his experience of the MBA program as well.
Thanks very much, William, and very helpful to I'm sure hopefully everybody listening to how the process of applying and really what they're applying for. I often say that when people start to think about an MBA, we all have our reasons. I certainly, as a surgeon, really, I think most people would say would be quite unusual to be thinking about an MBA at the stage that I was at. I was already a consultant surgeon. I've been involved in many leadership roles in Manchester and now within the United Arab Emirates. And I only really thought about an MBA because during all my leadership roles, I started to realize that, you know, we often learn as we go along in our job, but we really never get taught properly how to do leadership. And leadership for me involves many aspects of it, but whether it's the operational processes or strategic. I was the deputy director of medical director of strategy for one of the large teaching hospitals in Manchester at the time. And it was interesting that nobody really teaches you how to do it. And when you're in meetings and trying to discuss these issues that you're dealing with at the time in a way that means something to non-clinicians, you're at the sort of a lower part of the game at that point. So I decided that, you know, enough's enough. I'll start to learn the tools of how to present the information, how to analyze, and to be very competitive with really my finance colleagues, my operationals colleagues, and various other departments, HR, marketing, whatever it might be. So I hadn't really given it a lot of thought until it was 2016 when I was planning to move from UK to UAE. I thought, well, this is an opportunity to make a sort of a go for it. my expectations of what I was going to experience, I have to say, was excelled, because I knew that we would be meeting people from different backgrounds, different fields of occupations and professions. I didn't really know whether I would fit in with them and benefit them, then benefit me. And because we were, as a medic, you'll probably see that the other category on that slide that was shown from where the groups are all from, I think 5% was from other, and I think I fit in the other group as a healthcare. So in most of our workshops, I think there may be one or two other medical doctors, but it didn't make a difference. And we all got stuck into the projects, and I certainly would say that I thoroughly enjoyed those group projects where some of them were very hands-on in strategic management module, and other ones obviously were more theory-based presentations based on some literature reviews that we had to do. We learned a lot of tools of how to deal with either operational process, strategic processes, and I have to say, when I started to do my clinical work and various leadership roles afterwards, I started to apply them. And you apply them as you go along. So whilst I was doing my MBA, of course, I was doing my job, and I have a busy job, and I hope that reassures some people who would be questioning themselves, can I do a part-time qualification like an MBA whilst I'm in a clinical job? Well, not clinical job, but any sort of job, a full-time job. Well, the answer is certainly yes, but you get what you put in. And I think most people would say that if you want to scrape through and just about manage with each of the modules, you will manage, and you'll probably get through your MBA, but I don't think you would benefit it as much as if you did put the time that's required. And when you put the time in and you do that reading and understand the tools that you'll be using, for example, in the workshops or in the assignments that you're going to be expected to do, you really benefit it when you use it when you're in your job afterwards. And I probably was a bit slack with a couple of modules because I had a lot of pressure of work at certain times, and it makes it hard to sort of give it your full attention. And I have to say, I've gone back and read up some of those module books that we had just when I'm trying to do it in a certain part of my job, and I would definitely say you get out of it what you put in. So yes, I managed it. I didn't really extend my time for the MBA. I had to say that the personal advisor that you have, your support network within the university, was extremely helpful. I can only say thank you to Poonam, who was my student advisor at the time, because there are times where you really just can't hand in your assignment that week. You'd have to give a good reason, and of course, never just leave it till the day before that new deadline that you're given. But a couple of times I certainly had to use that help of extending the deadline, but within the time frame of the MBA I was able to finish on time. I was very fortunate really that the teams in the project group, we have the final assignment, we did a group assignment. One was in South Africa, one person was in the US, one in the UK, I was in the UAE, two of us in the UAE at the time. And it was quite interesting where we kept meeting up online to be able to go through a very interesting group project. And we were looking at the new markets of electric and artificial intelligence in the automotive industry. Something completely out of line from medical work, but a very interesting project nonetheless. And so working across multiple countries, being able to complete the assignment, and being very proud of it at the end. So my advice to anybody who's thinking about it, if your concerns are, will I have enough time? I have to say, yes, you certainly will do, but you've got to plan it well and try to make sure your family are very aware that you're on board with this, because for that period of time, you will just have to concentrate and give priority, particularly when it comes to those workshops and the assignments that you have to complete. Do I think there was value in it at the end? I've set a huge amount of value. I've been involved in the COVID, setting up of COVID operational units in the UAE, which are for isolation centers and setting them up from scratch. In fact, going into a university dormitory and converting it into a full equivalent to it. Well, it's an isolation unit. And there was a lot of operational processes, team management skills. I could have just done it in the old way that I used to do it, which is just have a go and try to make sure it all works out. And I probably had managed, but it was so much better having a structure to setting up the whole process, getting the teams together, outlining the steps of the management, and then actually presenting how we did to the groups in the other regions as well. So yes, it's been a tremendous value to my career, and I hope it will be to those who choose to go through with this as well. I'm not going to say much more because I did promise William I could talk for hours and hours about how things have helped me in my work, but probably best leave it for questions to see if anybody's got anything specific they want to ask. So William, over to you.
Brilliant. Thank you very much for sharing that, Mo. That's very, very insightful. And I'm sure that a lot of individuals will take that very seriously. And I just have a couple of questions here. I'd just like to start with this one because I thought it was quite an interesting one. Do you need to start an MBA with a specific career or other goal in mind?
Good question. I mean, you do an MBA or these type of qualifications really to progress your career. So I guess most people will use it to aim to promote themselves within the field that they're in. And I said, really, it will vary between one person to another. In the groups that I was linked to during the MBA, I remember one of my colleagues who was using it to get into a completely new sector. And I can see the rationale. He was focusing much more on finance for his sort of optional modules as well, and that was the way he wanted to move. But most of people were just within their career, either sponsored by their the companies or themselves doing it, like myself, to promote within the same area, the same job field. So yeah, I think it varies between people, but you can certainly use it to launch yourself in a new career area.
Brilliant, fantastic. I have another one here. How do you measure the ROI of an MBA? How would you measure that?
That's great. That's a good one. I've been using the word ROI in so many different areas of my life now. I even use it with my kids. I keep saying to each one of them, I've invested in you. Where's the return for me? And I think we can really try and understand of what we get back from the time and the money, because let's be very clear here. When you work and embark on an MBA, you're devoting and you're committing time, which is taken from other parts of your life, but for good use. And of course, as you just seen the finance part of it, if you're self-funding, it's money. How do you do it? Well, we recognize that those with MBA seem to attract higher salaries. There's plenty of data out there. So if anybody wants to look at that, you'll find it there. That wasn't the purpose for myself. I'm fortunate my job has been good for me, and it wasn't for that reason. How do you get there for return on investment? Well, for me, it was the parts of the career that I wanted to get into my field, where the leadership skill areas, even just developing more, I would say, influence in the areas of work that I was in. It's not measurable. That's a tangible, benefit that I would gain. So I would say there's tangible and non-tangible, but the actual ones that people would often look for is the promotion and the financial gains that you'll get. Probably not in the first year, second year, maybe it'd be 3 to 5 years from when you complete it. It will vary depending on what type of job you're in.
Absolutely, agree with that. Absolutely. I've got another one here. Is there ever a good time or a right time to start an MBA program?
Most of the people who are with me on the program were probably mid-20s, mid to mid-30s. I'm above that. There was probably only a handful of people who were, well, you saw the demographics you presented earlier on. It depends when, I needed this to give, in my opinion anyway, for my career, some credibility in the areas that we don't as doctors get trained in now. So therefore I started it maybe later. But if I was in another sector, in the finance sector, if I was in the manufacturing sector, of course, you might feel that you need to start it earlier on once you've established yourself in your career, but you now needed to go for the promotion. So it might be earlier on at that point than I did. I don't think there is a real fixed time for this one. You've just got to be motivated. There's no point going into this if you don't see that benefit. And it doesn't need to be a financial benefit. It can improve you in your different ways of your life, how you process problems, and how you develop solutions from that. So I don't think there is a set time in your career, or that this is the right time to be. It's just when you feel it's the right time that you can motivate and dedicate the resources for it.
Brilliant, absolutely brilliant. Thanks for that. Just a couple of more. I'm just very conscious of time as well. I don't want to keep everyone too long, but these are very interesting. There's a very interesting one, actually. They're asking, what insight could you bring from a healthcare perspective to the group work with your MBA colleagues? Yeah.
Well, I think they asked me that question in one of my groups as well. We were meant to, I think it was the operational management group, I think it was, and one of the group things that we had to do was look at a process and monitor it and use all the various tools that we were taught to present how we would improve and enhance that process. And then I said to them, well, let's go into a hospital emergency department. We'll get permission to do that. And we can look at the process of a patient coming in to a patient being seen and being treated and completed. And that's actually one of the duties that we were doing actually in the hospital at the time. We didn't do it in the end. They asked the questions, really, why do we want to do the healthcare one? I said, well, there's a lot of things that we can do to improve it. There's a lot of learning points there. One of the things that when I said that, we went to a train station and looked at the process of ticketing. That was a completely different thing than we initially planned. But a lot of the modules, there was an aspect of it, whether it was, we did a project on Pfizer, the pharmaceutical industry, and trying to understand the translational part between certain components of the job spheres to the medical patient related one. And I suppose it was helpful to be able to translate the two. And there are a lot of jobs available in operations and finance within the health sector, and certainly a lot of opportunities for business growth within the health sector. And I think that's become even more apparent now in the COVID era, where in these IT solutions and various telemedicines and various ways of marketing one organization or another, there's a lot of areas where people can benefit from their skills to go into the healthcare sector.
Absolutely fantastic. That's really, really, really interesting. Thank you very much for sharing that, Mo. I'm very conscious of time. I know we've gone past the hour already, ladies and gentlemen. If you have any other questions that have not gone through to us yet, please feel free to get in touch with one of our program counselors. As I did mention, all you have to do is go on the university website, the Middle East Centre's website, so manchester.ac.ae, and you can submit a callback request and someone will get in touch. One of our program counselors, I should say, will get in touch with you to clarify any questions that you may still have that we weren't able to go through. But I'd really like to take the time to thank first and foremost, Professor Mohamed Baguneid, for being with us this afternoon. Really appreciate your presence and for sharing your experience. That was very, very insightful, and I'm sure many of us have really gained a lot from listening to what you've had to say. So thank you very much for being with us this afternoon. And I'd like to wish you all a very, very good evening and a very good start to your weekend as well. If you need any help, as I did mention, our program counselors are available every day, basically, through the week from Sunday to Thursday, and even on Saturday sometimes if you need. So please get in touch with us and we'd be happy to help you get your applications through for the MBA program. And if you have any questions, we'll be able to help you with that as well. If you'd like to get in touch with Mo, I don't know, Mo, would it be appropriate for me to say that they can reach you on LinkedIn if they'd like to ask anything specifically to you?
Absolutely, and I have had a number of colleagues and people who are involved in the MBA who've communicated with me looking for various types of roles within the healthcare sector as well. And but if for this group want to have any advice about any part of the